Hello guys, today we will take a look at German World War II anti-personnel mine, specifically Sto.Mi.43, also known as Betonmine 43. This is a concrete anti-personnel mine, yes, made out of concrete. So it's German World War II designs. The dimensions of the cylinder and generally the layout, it's taken from the Soviet POMS series of mines that I actually reviewed before. So, the body of the mine 16.5 centimeters tall, 7 centimeters wide. Weight of the body alone it's 2 kilograms and usually those are painted either yellow or green. The explosive filling it's pre-made pressed cartridge of TNT, Bohrpatrone 28, that consists of 112 grams of TNT. The lethal radius it's said to be 25 meters by the documentation. By the German manuals, the tripwire can go up to 10 meters of length. Since it's concrete mined and generally very crude device, it was partially supposed to supplement the S-mine, the German jumping mine. That was actually kind of expensive and kind of complex device, so this is, on the contrary, actually very crude design. In a book about World War II ordnance, I read that actually various of shrapnels were used. Specifically, they mentioned 9mm casings from 9mm Luger ammunition, used ball bearings, and cut-up wire that's of diameter of 8mm. To be honest with you, I actually never see the 9mm casings, neither the used bearings, ball bearings. All of them that I've seen were just fragments of cut-up 8mm wire. When we think about it, the 9mm casings are actually not that fantastic of projectile. Also, to mix it up properly, so even inside of the casings are actually filled, I don't believe that will work that well. The same with used ball bearings. You can imagine the logistic about taking some used ball bearings, bringing them to one spot, then filling them to some concrete forms. I don't really see it happening. I also don't believe that the influx of used ball bearings would be so huge to cover for the huge production of those. But the cut-up wire, it's by far the most common that I've seen on the various examples. Let's take a look at some fragments from the Sto.Mi.43. So for example, those basically 8mm cut-up wire. The same shrapnels are in the late models also of the S.Mi.Ne 43. And this is the majority of the shrapnels that you can find in both of those models, but also some other types of fragments that I found pretty much in the same mines are those metallic cubes as well, and also this cut up, let's say, sheet metal, creating fragments like so. So all of those are pretty much effective. You can even tell that those are pretty much like 9mm bullets weight-wise and size-wise actually as well. So the mixture used for the creation of the body of the mine consists of 0.6 kilograms of concrete, 0.2 kilograms of gravel, and 1.2 kilograms of the shrapnels fragments. Fuses used for this type of mine were ZZ35 pull fuse, that is very complex. That's one of the reasons why they later came with ZZ42 pull fuse, that is probably by far the most common, but also other types of fuses, including electrical one, or ZVZZ35, that is push-pull fuse, can be used as well in those. Since it's German device, we have actually relatively accurate production numbers. So in 1942, 563,000 were made. In 1943, 2,657,000, and in 1944, 2,589,000 were created, so that gives us grand total of around 5.8 million, and I bet that a lot of those were also produced in 1945. Generally, we differentiate between two shapes of the body of the mine. So we have the early one that have the comb on top and also the comb on the bottom. And then we have the late war one that have comb only on top, but in the bottom it's basically cylinder and then just cut under a right angle. So basically creating flat bottom of the mine. So here we have the stock mines. Here is the early war model. We can tell it by this angle down here. You can see the rust from the fragments that are embedded inside. The fuse well look like so. Still in original paint, the yellowish paint. And then we have two examples of the late war models. with the flat bottoms. You can see that the cavity is a little bit off center, but from construction point of view still exactly the same, and these two have also factory green color. The complete set consisted of fuse, the body of the mine, the TNT cartridge, wire, and also the additional packs. So this is how you plant the beton miner. We taking the pack first, place it on the spot, something like this, and from here we put on the mine. Like so. We will make sure that it's actually somewhat straight, and then just put the detonator from top, and that's it. So this is our target situation. It's pretty much the mine going off in the middle of the squat. So here is the beton miner in the middle, and then when we just zoom out, we have one target here, second there, third there, fifth, and another one that is like very elevated looking from the top. So I think we will see pretty clearly how effective or ineffective this mine is. So let's just put the detonator in the shaft, like so, and that's it. So we heard quite big explosion. You can see the middle where the mine exploded, even what is left of the pack. So we go first target that was very much up, and apart from splashes of dirt we actually don't see any impact. Then another target from center 1.5 meter, and we can definitely see impacts. So you see the huge pre-fragmented chunks piercing the target pretty much in the middle, and also we have actually quite a lot of small shrapnels when we look from the rear of the target. These are most likely just the fragments of the concrete mass, but still you can see that they are pretty much like shotgun on this distance of 1.5 meters from the target, and then the big shrapnels that were metal. So another target, another 1.5 meter, and here we can see pretty much the same story. Huge chunks of the pre-fragmented metal and a lot of small pieces being the concrete mass. When we go a little bit further away from the mine and up, we can see again just huge fragment piercing the target right here, so that would be shoulder normally. In this distance of approximately 3 meters away, we actually don't get any more of the concrete fragments, maybe just very little. And then another target, this one could be, let's say, 7 meters away, and we see the same story. This is just dirt, but we have one huge pre-fragmented shrapnel piercing right here. This is very interesting result, and pretty much as I expected. The concrete on short distance being basically like shotgun pellets, and then apparently the huge pre-fragmented chunks of the 8mm cut-up wire, most likely, making this damage. Generally speaking, I'm quite satisfied with the result of Sto.Mi.43. We can very clearly see the difference in philosophy and how the mines are constructed. Back in the day, World War II, we can see the accent of bigger shrapnels and by default fewer of them than in the later post-war development. So here we see the shrapnels of 8mm cut-up wire. They are big, they will for sure fly a long distances. We see the damage. Even the coverage was quite good. But for example, in the OZM72 jumping mine, which was basically only further development of precisely the same concept of jumping mines, we see much smaller shrapnels and much more of them. I believe shrapnels in the OZM-72 are 2 by 3 millimeters, but of course a lot of them in solid mass. In the future, when we will take a look at World War I hand grenades, you will see exactly the same development. Back then they were using in sometimes also huge pre-fragmented chunks, and you will see the coverage is actually relatively poor. We move 100 years forward and we have grenades like GH01 with a lot of small pre-fragmented shrapnels and big number of them. But still to this day I would consider the Sto.Mi.43 as very effective tool, and there is absolutely no reason not to plant it when you have the body of the mine that are actually very plentiful. So this is how look the target situation for our concrete mine. Beton mine. One target 2 meters away, second target 1.5 meters away, and third target to the left 4 or 5 meters away and low. So let's see what it does. So we can see the crater in the middle. That look like so. Our target 1.5 meters. Big chunk here. 2 more big chunks down here. And that's about it. Okay result. Other target 2 meters away. We see many more penetrations and also some peppering. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 big shrapnels. And target 4 meters away, actually not much. 1 penetration down here. Other than that, it was probably in the blind angle, let's say. What also might happen in the future is that we will be constructing some more of the concrete mines, because this is very cool improvised device. So you have definitely the cost and easiness of manufacturing aspect, but also the fact that the body is concrete, and for example you can also do different concrete shapes. Because by default defensive positions, they have a lot of concrete, sections part. Concrete is the material of choice, the same in construction of factories, everything like it. So having some big concrete cylinder that basically laid next to the concrete fence or whatever, nobody would really guess that it can be a mine. So in that aspect, even when you actually didn't put that much effort into camouflaging it, it's just a piece of concrete in post-Soviet country that is full of concrete. So in that aspect, even the camouflage factor might be actually quite good. How common are the concrete frame jackets in Ukraine? Well, they are very common. When I was buying those examples for the test, they costed around $1.50 a piece. The post-service cost was double the price of the mines themselves. So by that you can tell that they are actually very plentiful, and definitely it's a minor achievement award to plant few of those outside in the wild, let's say. One more thing that I would like to mention, it's how easy it's to work with the beton mine compared to the Soviet POMS series. This German design is just so much more easier to work with, because the whole of the bottom can accept actually much thinner rods, much thinner pegs. So it's much easier to manufacture those, place those correctly, and just overall it's better construction and much more pleasant, much more easier, and by default faster to work with. I also believe that this mine succeeded massively in what it was supposed to do. And that was to be mass-produced mine that will be effective and can help cover the lack of the S mines, the S35 jumping mines, because those were complex. These concrete mines are very crude, but when you put some special accent to camouflaging, they will pretty much do kind of the same job. Also in future video we will actually take a look and explode the German S-mine. And now let's see what will happen when we take the beton mine, concrete mine, put a hand grenade fuse and basically turn it into a giant hand grenade. So we can see where it landed, and pretty much big number of shrapnels going into all directions. So certainly not something that you want to do as your plan A, for example, but still kind of works. Thank you very much, guys, for all the support that you provided us with over the years. So if you want to support us, there are the links down below. Your help is directly connected with me actually being able to making those videos, because it benefits the unit, it benefits us, and by default I'm free then to do this kind of videos, and I'm actually kind of obliged to do so, because if I don't do them, there are very few people actually in the world that have the freedom and have the conditions to do this type of material and show it to the public. So thank you very much, guys, for watching, and see you in the next video.